A quick little like versus video for these KM versus K1000, like pros and cons. I did this previously with the FTB, the Canon FTB, and the K1000, like what's a better beginner camera. I do think that the Canon FTB wins that strictly because it has more features. You can find one for a lot less money, and it's just easier, I think, to get into the FD glass. There was a lot more of a market for third-party lenses on that front than there was in the K mounts, at least as far as I can determine. However, if you still want to use that K mount lens, which I don't blame you because I'm a Pentax guy myself. Canon when it comes to digital, but definitely Pentax when it comes to analog. So I really have a soft spot for any of the K mount lenses. I feel like the glass is very, very well kept. Except the older glass is a little bit irradiated, but we don't have to talk about that because that's M42 mounts and that doesn't count here. All I can think of is the I Think You Should Leave, where they show up to the party late and he's like, oh, just make up an excuse like the babysitter was late. And then he's like, the babysitter was late because she ran somebody over. Oh my god, did she stay? No, it was a hit and run, but it's fine. The person didn't matter. M42 mounts, they don't matter. By the end of this party, I'm gonna embarrass you. Oh, I love that show. I'm gonna have to watch that show. Anyway, M42 mounts, they don't matter here. We're talking about K mounts exclusively. So let's go over this real quick. The KM, just like right out the gate, is a better camera. Like in terms of functionality, it just has so much more to offer. It wins, right? Easy peasy. It's also a lot cheaper. Again, easy peasy. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's not much of a fair fight here, to be honest. My bias, nostalgia, would tell me that the K1000 is the best beginner camera. And I do believe that to be true. I just think in the current market that needs to be taken account for, and it is just not that, really. Again, they're not that cheap anymore. I saw somebody selling one for $500, and you're gonna say, you've said that like in 5 different videos. And I know, and I will continue to say it because I think that's completely outrageous, and I think that whoever did that should not be able to sleep well at night. Also, I think whoever bought that, because they spent such an absurd amount of money on such a basic camera, which by no means is a knock on the K1000, it's a great camera, but it's just as basic as what it is. I hope that their life, that fortune favors them, let's say, because they got the short end of that stick. So yeah, that's an immediate knock on the K1000 is its notoriety, and that's because it's so good. So the KM, you're thinking, well, I've never even heard of that except for the video that you just posted, which I loved, by the way. In fact, I liked that video and I subscribed to your channel because I watched it and I enjoyed it so much. And I would say to that, thank you very much for doing that. It does mean a lot. But nobody talks about these because they're just not as popular. Again, it falls into the same category as the K2 or the KX or any other number of cameras that just kind of whimpered out into existence, you know, like that just weren't as popular as their counterparts. But that doesn't mean it's bad. That just means it wasn't as popular, it wasn't as well branded. It was actually the cheaper version of the KX, which was the upgrade of the K1000, meaning that the KX was supposed to be the professional model. So this is the cheaper model of the KX, which means it's like a half step above the K1000 in terms of functionality, obviously, as you can see here, but it's also like not top of the line. So it was probably a little bit more expensive when it was released. If I can find the numbers for the cost of these cameras upon release, I will put them there. Okay, I would imagine that the mentality was, why would I pick this up for however much when I could just get either a K1000 or spend a little bit more and get a KX, which makes sense because this does not have near the amount of features as a KX, which I have right here because I just live in cameras at this point in time. Weird, this came from a school district. This actually came in from a customer, so shout out to the customer who sent me their KM. I really do appreciate it, and thank you for letting me hold on to it and make a video out of it. Appreciate that. This came in from another customer who sent it in with a bunch of other cameras, so shout out to you, good sir, I really appreciate it. He also sent in, I don't know if he wants me to do a shout out here, if I can find it, and I've been thumbing through it a little bit, and I absolutely love it, and I just can't find it now. It's somewhere, my room is just a mess right now, so I apologize, but I will show it later. I did an unboxing video of this camera, so it's probably in that video, but still, super, super kind to do that. Definitely appreciated. But anyway, back to the matter at hand. Here we have the KX. It has the aperture preview window. It has a little bit of an upgraded system over here in terms of your shutter speed dial and your ASA is separate. You have a shutter locking mechanism. You have the same self-timer, aperture preview, but also I think this is an aperture preview lock, I think. Oh no, you have mirror up. That's what it is. You have a mirror up feature for longer exposures, which is super helpful. Other than that, it's pretty much the same front plate as the KM outside of that. And yeah, it has an actual memo slot, whereas this has the memo deal on the side. So a little bit of a difference there, but still very interesting. So we've got the KX, we have the KM, and we have the K1000. This is going to be base, vanilla, bread, white bread and butter. This is going to be like multi-grain bread and butter, and then this is like some sourdough butter in the Grey Poupon kind of deal. Okay, this is like top of the line. But here's the thing, I would say that this is a better looking logo than this. I don't like the way that this X is. And we're getting real pedantic, but that's pretty much it. That's what we've been driven to on this channel. It's just the most innate things. So which one should you get? If you're just getting into film photography, which one would you get? Which one would I recommend you get? Well, I would recommend the K1000. It's not going to give you any difficulty. It's just no frills, no gills, just camera. Just mechanical camera with an electronic light meter that's super easy to use and operate. But I wouldn't recommend this right now. I would recommend this. For all the reasons before listed, this is just way too expensive now. People know what they have. They're selling it out for outrageous prices. And if you're just looking to like dip your toes in film photography, shoot a few rolls, see if it's even something you like, I don't think spending $500 or even like $250 or $300 on just an experience that you're gonna have to spend more money on, because shooting film, developing it, that's not cheap either. I can't in good conscience say, like, go out there and find yourself a good K1000. Unless you're coming to me, which I sell mine for just ridiculously decent prices, I believe. So hit me up. I think I have 2 or 3. I would actually say find yourself a KM if you can. KMs are definitely the way to go. It's again, all the same camera, mechanical, electronic light meter, but with the added bonus of self-timer, depth of field preview, which if you don't know what that is, because I don't think I've explained it, let me show you really quickly. So you put your lens on like so, and we're gonna cramp it down to f/16, we'll say. Okay, and in doing so, we'll see that will close the blades when you press in on that. And what that is doing basically is, one, lowering the exposure so you get a better idea of like what it'll look like with the blades closed. Obviously there's other factors that contribute to that, like the shutter speed, but what that will do is show you what will be in focus more. If you're shooting wide open, your depth of field is going to be a lot more shallow than it will be at like an f/8 or something. But if you want to get like very precise focus, you can press this down. That's kind of helpful, I've found. I don't use the feature all that much, but some people do. Even if you're not going to use it, even if you're not going to use the self-timer, which I think self-timers are dumb, which by the way, if you want to use the self-timer, you bring it all the way around here, and there's this little tab there. So you pull that this way, that will move. There you go. You have to make sure that the camera's winded, obviously, or advanced, I should say. Even if you're not going to use those features, you can still find one of these for a lot cheaper than you could a K1000 and even a KX. So I would say KM is probably your best bet if you're looking for a beginner camera, or if you're looking to explore the K-mount variety. I think this is probably going to be your easiest way in to that exclusive club. But you know, this is all not very well researched. This is all off the top of my dome. If you find a killer deal somewhere for a K1000 and you're like, man, I want to go with what I know, K1000, then do it. Go for that. Like, this is just my advice, my input based on what I'm seeing, but I don't have the all-seeing eye. I don't know everything. I would never claim to, and I hope it never comes across that way, but I will just say, in my opinion, if you are coming to me for advice, this is what I would say. I have to go let the cat out of my room because she wants to be out, so that will do it for now. I hope you find this video helpful. I hope that I get my desk clean relatively soon. I apologize again for the mess here. We're working through some stuff. But yeah, no, I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like it if you did. Comment down below if you like these comparison videos and if you would like me to compare any other cameras with another camera. Have you shot with the KM? What did you think of it? I've never shot with this camera, probably never will, just because I don't really have a need to, because I do have the K1000. I'm pretty happy with that, but I'd love to hear your experience with it. And with that, I think that'll do. So again, thanks for watching, and catch you on the next one.